Hello and welcome to Chapter 6, the Bone Chapter. Be sure to refer to your lab document for terms you must memorize. You'll find that lab document under Resources, and it would be pages 8 through 11. So meet Mr. Bones, Seymour Bones, and he's composed of two skeletons, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton is yellow here. It is the head, the neck, and the trunk. The appendicular skeleton consists of the arms and the legs, and the girdles, the pectoral and pelvic girdle, that attach the limbs to the axial skeleton. There are multiple functions of the skeletal system. Support, obviously, but mineral storage. Our nerves and muscles require calcium, and if there is not enough in the diet, they will steal them from the bones. Our blood cells are produced in the red bone marrow. Bones protect, such as the cranium protects the brain, the ribs protect the lungs and heart. Bones act as levers with skeletal muscles in order for us to move. We categorize our bones on shape. Flat bones are obviously flat. Some examples are the sternum, the cranial bones, the ribs, sutural bones, and we'll see a picture of that in a second. Sutural bones or wormian bones are very small bones that may form between the cranial bones. Some people have them, some people don't, so everyone really has different numbers of bones. Our long bones are longer than they are wide. An example would be the femur, which is the upper leg, but another example would be a phalange, which is a finger, one of the bones of the finger. Irregular bones, you can't get much more irregular than this sphenoid bone of the face, but also irregular bones are the bones of the pelvis and the vertebrae. Sesame bones are small and flat, such as the patella, and also these little bones may develop throughout the body in tendons. Small bones are boxy, such as the bones of the wrist and ankles. Here are some sesamoid bones, and here are the tarsals, which are the ankle bones. The metatarsals are the foot bones, and those are long bones. The phalanges are the toe bones, and those are also long bones. There are quite a few features of bones you must know. Again, refer to the lab document. I don't know if every single term is covered on this PowerPoint. Some examples would be the sinus. Sinuses give most of us trouble if we have allergies. Sinuses are cavities in the bone, and these cavities are lined with mucous membrane. And so if you have an allergy and that mucus is formed, this sinus is blocked from draining into the nasal cavity, and the air pressure, as mucus fills in that sinus, the pressure builds up, and you get a feeling of pressure inside that sinus in your forehead or in your upper cheeks, and you need an antihistamine to open up that channel again. A meatus or canal is a passageway, such as the passageway going to your ear. A process is a bump. A foramen is a small opening. For example, down here in the chin, we have a mental foramen, and we will see that nerves pass through there to the face. A fissure is an elongated cleft or gap, such as in this in the eye orbit here, and this allows the cranial nerve, the optic nerve, to pass through. You'll see a variety of projections and elevations, and these are mostly for tendon and ligament attachments, and a variety of depressions and grooves, and each type has a different name. You only have to learn specific names on specific bones. For example, here is our humerus, which is the upper arm, and these are the terms you need to learn on the humerus: head, tubercle, sulcus, tuberosity, diathesis, trochlea, and condyle. The femur is the upper leg. Here you must learn trochanter, neck. The diathesis is the shaft. A facet is a small flat surface, and a condyle is a rounded projection. The pelvis has a crest. This here is what you can feel with your hands when you put your hands on your hip is the iliac crest. A fossa is a depression, so we have here right below the crest is the iliac fossa. A spine is a pointed or narrow ridge, the iliac spine, and a ramus is an extension that makes an angle. So down here is the inferior ramus of the pubis. Which of the following is not a flat bone? Pelvis, scapula, frontal bone, or rib? Pelvis is irregular. Which of these is not a bony projection? Trochanter, tuberosity, fossa, condyle. A fossa is a depression. Which of the following features is not found on the pelvis? Crest, neck, line, or ramus? Neck. Some more terms that you must learn. This is a long bone, and this is the femur. You can tell this because the head is extended from the shaft by a neck. The humerus has less of a neck here. So the end of a long bone is called the epiphysis. So you have a proximal epiphysis and a distal epiphysis. And here is the shaft of the long bone, which is called a diathesis. The walls of this shaft are made of compact bone, and it is lined with spongy bone. The epiphyses have spongy bone. Spongy bone is also called cancellar bone or trabecular bone. And spongy bone is more sponge-like. It has more openings. And this is where the red bone marrow is, in the spongy bone. This opening down the diathesis, this canal, is the medullary cavity, and we'll see later how the blood vessels and nerves travel up and down through this medullary cavity to supply the bone. Bone is extremely vascular. See the blood vessels. Pause this slide so that you can read through it. What term refers to the shaft of a long bone? Diathesis. Features of the periosteum. The periosteum is the membrane that surrounds the bone. It has blood vessels, lymph vessels, and nerves. This is a close-up of the compact bone. This would be in the diathesis or the shaft of a long bone. A compact bone, it consists of circular regions that look like the rings of a tree. This circular region is called an osteon, and running through the center of the osteon are blood vessels. Each cell, these little dots, are the individual cells, and those are the osteocytes. They're connected to every other osteocyte with cytoplasmic extensions through narrow passageways called canaliculi. The reason they're attached to each other is because the matrix is solid, and the nutrients and gases cannot get through the solid matrix. They must flow through the cytoplasmic extension from one cell to the next cell. Here you can see the individual osteocyte with the cytoplasmic extensions. Which of the following is not characteristic of bone? Avascular, classified as connective tissue, rich sensory nerve supply, calcified matrix. Avascular. Bone is highly vascular. There are three types, well, there are a variety of cells, just depending on how you consider them. Okay, so the one cell that forms new bone is called an osteoblast. Osteoblast for building. I think of B for blast, B for building. And so this cell is going to produce new bone matrix, It's going to produce this matrix around it, and once the matrix is converted to salts, like calcium salts, the osteoblast becomes the osteocyte. The osteoprogenitor cell is a stem cell that will produce cells that differentiate into osteoblasts. So these are important in repairing bone fractures. They're located in the inner lining of the periosteum. The periosteum is the membrane surrounding the bone. It is found in the lining, the endosteum, which is the membrane that lines the medullary cavity, and it is found lining passageways containing blood vessels. So you're going to have these stem cells throughout the bone for repair. Osteoclasts break down bone. They resorb bone, R-E-S-O-R-B. That means they break it down and allow the nutrients in the bone to be reused. These are giant cells, and they will destroy bone if that calcium is needed somewhere else in the body. This breakdown of bone is called osteolysis. Which of the following cell types produces and secretes osteoid? Osteoblasts. Bone matrix is a combination of the calcium salts and collagen, a protein. The collagen provides for about a third of the bone weight and gives the bone resilience, flexibility. The calcium provides strength, so you can step down with a lot of weight on your bone and the bone won't break because it's strong, but without the collagen fibers it would be brittle. So that allows it to bend a little bit and to absorb the impact of shock. So the calcium phosphate is a lot of the bone, but the calcium phosphate combines with the calcium hydroxide to form what is called hydroxyapatite. But we see other calcium salts in the bone, calcium carbonate, and ions as well. If you were to remove the collagen, here I believe we've soaked the chicken bones in vinegar and removed the calcium. And so you've still got the collagen protein, but no calcium, so they're not hard any longer. So here is the microscopic anatomy of the osteon, and you can see these circular rings called lamellae. Here are the terms that you need to know that are involved with the bone. A lacuna is the bony cavity where the osteocyte lives. The lamella are the rings. The canaliculi are the little bony canals where the cytoplasmic extensions allow one osteocyte to communicate with another osteocyte. A perforating canal takes the blood vessels horizontally till it hits an osteon and then moves vertically up the central canal. And the osteon is the structural and functional unit of bone. Here would be the medullary cavity, and inside the medullary cavity is good blood supply, and it is surrounded by spongy bone.